Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by my co host, Mike, and his son, Sean. How are you guys?
We're doing good.
Great. Good to hear. Hopefully, everybody had a happy and safe holiday season. Of course, we were just talking off air, spent most of my holiday time recovering from COVID. Um, my wife just called it a big hangover, but no, I actually tested positive. But I'm feeling much better, back at work and back ready to rock and roll. Got all caught up on all my wrestling, but unable to watch today's wonderful event, Wrestle Kingdom, which we're going to talk about. I feel like let's just kick it off. Mike, if you want to give us the rundown of what happened at Wrestle Kingdom.
Wait, was it AEW?
It was New Japan Pro Wrestling. I've kind of skipped around because I came home a little bit early and I saw the last half of the double main event each match. And both matches, from what I've seen, were great. And that was Omega defeated Ospreay for the U.S. title.
Nice.
And then Okada defeated Jay White.
I figured, yeah.
For the world title.
Mm-hmm.
While I was at home before I picked the kids up, when I was fast forwarding on my phone through New Japan World, I did see the Kyrie match, which was the big talk, and the debut of Mercedes Moné. I don't know if you see the pictures yet.
No.
She came out in what looked like a Statue of Liberty-esque like headpiece.
Oh, jeez.
It was interesting. And then it looked like the move she put on Kyrie to set up their women's world title match, she slipped and they botched it a little bit.
Oh, that sucks.
Maybe from the rust of not being in the ring for so long.
Yeah, because she's been in the ring since she lost to Athena.
No, I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
And I don't think Sasha or Mercedes has been in the ring since she left WWE.
No. Or
So,
yeah, Kyrie, yeah.
Yeah, Kyrie did win the women's tournament later in 2022, so she was in the ring a couple times, but Mercedes hasn't been in. And then I ended up, after the kids got their boosters today, I ended up watching 2 more matches.
Okay.
Or 3 more, excuse me. So I saw the tag title match, which was fantastic. Bushiman defeated FTR for the titles.
Oh, so now FTR, they just down to the AAA tag team champions now?
No, they're down to nothing.
They have nothing?
They lost the AAA tag titles to Dragon Lee and someone else at their last AAA major show.
Oh, wow.
That's when Dragon Lee also announced he was going to NXT.
Yeah.
At that show.
He's signed with NXT now.
So he has the AAA tag title. So FTR's got nothing now.
Wow.
And then I saw the Zack Sabre Jr. against Renta Narita match, which was a great strong style match for the inaugural television champion, which I don't know why they're making another belt when they don't need one.
Wasn't it the whole reason why they consolidated and got rid of the Intercontinental title? Because they felt like they had too many?
Yeah, and now they picked up another one.
Yeah.
And then I saw Tonga Tama defeat Carl Anderson.
Okay.
So that match was funny because it was just the commentators just teamed up and were just beating Carl Anderson. Saying he's just in business for himself. And then saying the never championship will never leave again. And then Kevin Kelly goes, well, you never say never. Like they just kept on with the little
the little digs at it. Yeah.
Because Carl Anderson was supposed to go the day of Crown Jewel over there and lose the title, but he couldn't because he got booked in Crown Jewel. So
right, and then WWE agreed to not book him on Raw this week so that he could travel to Japan. And drop the title.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and it's funny because now like that's two different times. We thought Dragon Lee now is one half of the AAA Tag Team Champions going to NXT,
Yep.
and Carl Anderson going to WWE, still carrying the Never Openweight Championship. That's two examples of WWE scooping up other promotions champions and then allowing them to finish out obligations. And maybe even like I wonder if that could work to some of their cross promotion ideas, which when AEW started doing that with New Japan, right away it was like, well, why wouldn't WWE do this? And Triple H was one of the first guys saying, well, yeah, we'd work with other companies.
Yep. And I think it's that new regime. They're gonna
Yeah.
the whole thing with Muda wrestling Nakamura a couple days.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up too. Yeah.
That just happened. I haven't seen that. I heard it was a great match.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I was
and
even trying to look that up on YouTube.
And then Anderson going over today.
Mhm.
Because really they had wrestlers from AEW and WWE on the card.
Yeah, every company really was represented in New Japan. And what a great coup by New Japan to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, and so far from what I've seen, I haven't seen anything bad
Mhm.
with the show.
It's so funny. New Japan almost like Wrestle Kingdom almost always gets universally great reviews.
Yes.
Like when was the last time any WWE show got universal great reviews?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing was probably this WrestleMania.
Yeah, this WrestleMania was really
This
good.
WrestleMania got pretty good reviews.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to. I will be starting. Actually, I believe we are under 90 days now until WrestleMania. So this starts my Road to WrestleMania tour.
Okay.
So I will invite everybody to go on the Road to WrestleMania with me. We go back and we watch each WrestleMania in order, and I've traditionally allowed one or two skips of matches. Like if a match is just absolutely dog shit, like you can skip it.
Okay.
And so like it's funny. One time when I did this, I basically was just like, well, I could basically just skip all of WrestleMania 2, right? Because that whole show really just wasn't very good in my mind.
Overall, it really wasn't. I mean, it was lacking. I mean, the first couple WrestleManias did lack those real stellar matches.
Right. The main event, which it always blows my mind that the main event of the first WrestleMania did not involve a championship.
I know.
Although, do you know the first WrestleMania to not have a title change?
Not have a title change. Let's see here.
Every WrestleMania for X number of years had a title change until this one.
Let's see here. Was it 11?
No. WrestleMania 11 had new tag team champions. Owen Hart and Yokozuna won the tag titles.
Okay.
Would you like a hint?
Sure.
Let's see, what are we on? It's within the last 15 years.
Last 15 years. So right now we're at 39. Was it 27?
Yes, it was.
Okay, yeah.
The world title did not change hands. The WWE title did not change hands. I don't believe the U.S. or Intercontinental title were on the line on those nights.
That was a really awful WrestleMania.
In fact, WWE went, I want to say, from WrestleMania 18 to 25 without an Intercontinental title match.
Yeah. For a while, they didn't have it on there.
Yeah. They had Rob Van Dam won the Intercontinental title from William Regal, and then Rey Mysterio defeated JBL for the Intercontinental title. And I'm trying to think of when the next time an Intercontinental champion was retained at WrestleMania. I don't know that it's happened since maybe 24?
Maybe.
I don't even remember who the Intercontinental champion. No, it wasn't defended at 24. So
no, that was Ric Flair's last match.
Right.
Well, which should have been Ric Flair's last match ever.
His last WWE match, yeah.
Wait, when Shawn Michaels beat him?
Yes, when Shawn Michaels
Yes.
beat.
So part of my theme idea, well, I'm going back and forth, and we can just have this discussion right here on air. I thought about in the lead up to with our road to WrestleMania that each week I thought either we would shelf the homework assignments until after WrestleMania and just focus because we're gonna have plenty of wrestling to watching all the WrestleManias. It gets time consuming.
Yes. It does.
Or that we could just have homework assignments to analyze one of the matches from each WrestleMania that we do. Like, so first week, I always do 3 the first week.
Okay.
And so we can just say our homework assignments are one of the matches from the first 3.
Okay.
Which I already know the one I think I would choose. Although I feel like it's going to be a contest between me and you as to who chooses it first.
Which one?
It's got to be Savage Steamboat.
Well, obviously, yeah.
It's probably the greatest match ever. It stood the test of time.
It really has.
Aside from that, God, what Hogan Bundy?
That one was painful.
Yeah.
You know, it was another classic at WrestleMania too. Jake Roberts versus George Wells. Oh man, that was awesome. When he shoved the snake head in his mouth too.
That was freaking hilarious. Oh god, the tag title match from WrestleMania 2 was pretty good. The Bulldogs beating.
That was probably. Yeah. I was a huge Dream Team fan.
Yeah,
I would say that was probably the best match on that card.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the Dream Team versus the Bulldogs was the best match of WrestleMania 2.
Right, and 1's a stretch.
Oof. God, what was the best match from WrestleMania 1? I don't want to say the main event because I don't really think that was such a great match.
It really wasn't that great.
I mean, Mr. T did admirable for what you expected in that role.
Right.
And Hogan just is what he is. Big boot, leg drop, and flex to the crowd.
And then, it was the body slam match. The one match that made no sense in the first WrestleMania, based upon the feud that was happening, was the Intercontinental title match.
Right. Why was that not Tito Santana in that match?
Why did they put the JYD? Don't get me wrong. JYD was fantastic, but he didn't fit the Intercontinental title picture.
Who was it? Tito versus Jason. Was it Jason Bourne? Or no, that was Steamboat that faced Bourne. It was the masked guy.
The Executioner.
The Executioner. Yeah.
Actually, Playboy Buddy Rose in the mask.
Yes. I remember hearing about this. So I would have thought it would have been better to have JYD versus the Executioner and Tito versus the Hammer.
Yeah. Steamboat Matt Bourne might have been the best match on that card.
Yeah, it really might have been. It's funny. The day that the WWE Network originally came out, was the day I decided I would start that year's Road to WrestleMania.
Okay.
And because I figured it would be the easiest thing as opposed to reaching out and finding my VHS tapes and plugging back in my VCR and watching that way. So, and I watch it, and one of the first pictures I took on my new cell phone at the time was a picture from that match of Steamboat delivering a chop to Bourne.
Okay.
And just, that was such a good match. I really enjoyed that match. And I remember posting that on Facebook, like, oh my God, watching WrestleMania 1 on the WWE Network,
I think that's the best match.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ricky Steamboat against Matt Bourne, because
that might be the best match of that card.
Yeah, I've never seen.
Well, you can watch all of WrestleMania one day.
It's brutal. It's fun though. It really is. To me, I'm always just really excited when I watch the first one because it's the first one. It starts my road to WrestleMania. It gets me amped up for WrestleMania.
It's when you start hitting 2. It's
Yes.
when you start hitting 5.
WrestleMania 2 is usually like I remember. So the way I used to always start it, I would stay home from work the day after the Royal Rumble,
Okay.
and so I would watch the Royal Rumble, and then I'd watch WrestleMania 1. And so then I'd go to bed, get up the next day, and like normally around breakfast, I would put on WrestleMania 2. And that was, I remember the one year I cleaned our apartment that we were staying at, and my wife came home and she was just like, "This is amazing." And I'm just like, I put WrestleMania 2 on. I had to do something. I was bored to tears.
Yeah.
She's just like, and so like whenever like the apartment would get dirty, she's like, "Can you just put on WrestleMania 2 again and clean?"
Exactly. Yeah. 2 is tough.
Yeah.
I find 5 challenging.
5 is challenging because other than the main event, like talk about like the whole card was built around Savage Hogan.
Yeah.
And the rest of the card was just hot garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the Ultimate Warrior Rick Rude match was okay for like
I mean, they even put Fuji in the Powers of Pain
yeah.
instead of just having a straight up tag team match.
It's like just have Powers of Pain versus Demolition. Like, come on.
But they threw Fuji in to make him get the pin.
If the 2 out of the 3 guys were alive, this would have been an awesome match for one of the WrestleManias back in the day. I don't think this match has happened. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper.
Well, yeah, back then they never did the
Yeah, they didn't do triple threats until like the mid '90s.
the mid '90s, but that would have been good.
That absolutely would have been a great triple threat match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they definitely did do Hogan Warrior, obviously at 6 when we get to that one. That again, that was one of those, it surprised me how good it was. I mean, even with the kind of weird ending.
Hulk Hogan won, right?
Warrior one.
Warrior one, yeah.
Warrior, the big star. And see, that match, I remember watching it as a kid. I thought it was a lot longer than what it was.
Right.
It kept you like really entertained.
It felt longer, yeah.
It felt like a whole movie when you were a kid watching it.
Yeah.
And then you look, it was 17 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah, 15, 17 minutes. So it's funny. I went and rewatched one of the very first pay-per-views that I ordered at my mom's house when I still lived there in 1992. It was Starrcade 92. I went back and rewatched some old shows. I watched Starrcade 91 because of how much I love Battle Bowl.
Right.
And then 92 as well. And 92 was one of those, I remember I begged my mom to order that pay-per-view because the guy who I always used to go to his house to watch the shows, like, he had moved away. Okay. And so like I was like, oh man, how are we gonna watch like any of these big shows this year? I talked her into Starrcade, and I remember watching that show. Some of those matches, like, they still stand the test of time to me. Like, I still think one of the greatest matches of all time, as far as tag team wrestling goes, is Steamboat and Douglas against Pillman and Wyndham at Starrcade 92.
Yep, that was a great match.
Yeah, it was incredible. And
the 4 of them all were phenomenal performers. Mm-hmm. How could you have had a bad match with those guys?
Have the Ultimate Warrior and Roddy Piper ever wrestled? I don't think.
I don't believe so. Not in a one-on-one match.
Yeah.
They were both on sides in that weird triple threat War Games match that WCW had.
Oh, God. Yes.
But they never put them in a match together?
No, I don't think they ever.
I don't believe so.
They should have.
I'm trying to remember if that. No, Warrior wasn't in the company 91. That Survivor Series 91, but he was gone by then. Right. They pulled up at SummerSlam because they had that Flair and Piper teams. So
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. Gosh. I guess. Yeah. Warrior and Piper would have never worked together
Yeah.
because Piper was pretty much out of the picture by by the time Warrior came along in WWE.
Right. Yeah. He took some time off
Yeah,
from
right.
May Live.
And then
Came.
and then when he came back, it was like the Warrior was gone, and and
Yeah.
then they were on the same side of the fence, and so they weren't working together.
Yeah. Yeah. They never. I don't think they ever had a match 1-on-1.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
It would have been a great match, like the big match of one of the WrestleManias.
Yeah.
Well, and another WrestleMania match that got botched that they did not do. I can't believe they didn't. Like WCW had to do this, and it was the first match they had with Hogan Flair. Like you had the two biggest names in the history of the business working in the same company, and at one point it looked like they had it booked.
They had it booked, but there was. I didn't think one of them wanted to lose to the other. I think they were having that argument at WrestleMania. And
Sure.
also, I don't know if you remember this, they did a house show tour late 91 with them.
Okay.
And the house shows didn't do what they thought it was going to do. I was at the Spectrum for that match.
Oh wow.
And it was the main event. I convinced my sister, and she was dating a guy in high school who has now been my brother-in-law for 25 years. It was
20.
Uncle Mike, yeah. So it was the three of us went to the Spectrum to see the match.
Oh, I thought it was over 25.
Yeah, they're in 96. So it's been, but they dated in high school. So
Yeah.
they've known each other since the late 80s.
So okay, so the match was kind of was it good? Like when you saw it, or
I was so amped to see it because I thought this was going to be WrestleMania. It's going to happen in the Spectrum. We got to go.
yeah,
It wasn't. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And my sister, growing up in our house, was always kind of knew the wrestlers. She actually went to one of the Great American Bashes with a high school friend at Veteran Stadium. She was kind of disappointed based upon who it was in the ring. And that was just one of those things, I think, because it didn't go over well, because they took it to MSG, they took it to Boston Garden, they took it to the Spectrum. Didn't do what they thought it was going to do. So I think that was another factor in why it wasn't at WrestleMania 8.
You know, I never knew that was that they had booked it on a house show.
Yeah. Yeah, they did it. I think it was like a month or two just for to see how it would take off for WrestleMania.
And it's funny, I love going to house shows. I think it's kind of a lost art that they haven't really done a lot of them in, at least not in any major markets, in a long time. So I went to some house shows in the mid to late 90s. Like I saw them, I guess it was right after the 96 King of the Ring, when they did a house show in Philly. So I was trying to, because that was when Austin was working with Jake Roberts in a match.
Okay.
And the main event was, I'm sure it was Shawn and Diesel. So maybe it was a little like before King of the Ring. The main event was Shawn and Diesel in a cage. So it was probably on the same tour as the MSG, the infamous.
It had to be, yeah.
Shawn, known as me.
Not you, Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels.
I'm Shawn Michael Rouse.
Yes, you are Shawn Michael Rouse.
That's awesome. That's your name, Shawn Michael?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. How did you talk your wife into that?
That's the question I always get. We both like the name Shawn. And then I said, well, should we do Michael since I'm Michael for his
That makes sense, yeah.
He said yes. So in theory, that's where the name came from. But everyone who knows me always
right away knows, oh, that's Shawn Michaels.
yeah. One of my good friends, he was the first one we told. We were at Quizzo.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he goes, it's going to be like Steve Austin Rouse or something, because we weren't letting the name out. And Denise looks at me. She goes, do you want to tell him? I said, his name's Shawn Michael Rouse. He goes, this is not happening. I said, it is. And he was so giddy.
That's great.
He signs his christening card and his birthday cards. He would sign him Uncle Genetti.
That's great.
So yeah, that was when we.
You know how you write the names on the back of cards for people? Does he write HBK for him?
No, he doesn't.
That would have been great though.
That would have been. Yeah, no, that was great when he signed it that.
Uncle Genetti, that's great. Yeah, I talked to my, we one time talked about and I floated around the name Mankind Undertaker that was shot down.
Well, that one, yes.
Yeah.
Mankind Undertaker. For a name.
For a name.
We could name our dogs that next go.
There you go, yeah.
That might fly.
I love the one meme I saw where the father's talking to the son, and the son goes, "Why is my sister's name Rose?" "Well, your mother loves roses." "Oh, okay, thanks, Dad. No problem." Undertaker versus Mankind, 96 Hell in a Cell.
That match.
Or 98 Hell in a Cell.
98, yeah. That's when Undertaker threw Mankind off the top of the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. The King of the Ring.
Which will be a future homework assignment. Just when I decide we all need an uplift in spirits.
In spirit, yeah, that'll be.
Which, speaking of which, I guess we should talk about it. I guess give our own spin on the Damar Hamlin situation in the NFL. I know the first thing that pops into my mind is a way that we could talk about it on our show would be to talk about the comparison with Owen Hart.
I was thinking about that, yeah.
It's funny. I was riding home from work the other day, and I heard the Blue Meanie call into WIP.
Okay.
And he that's what he compared it to. When he said, it's just like, well, I had something similar. And as soon as he said that, I went, Owen Hart.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, in Kansas City.
Yeah. To me, both of them were just absolute disgraces from the league.
Yeah.
No way should have Over the Edge 98 should have continued.
No.
And
it's funny. I remember at the time thinking, like, when my dad came in and I was watching it in my room, and he says to me, he's like, Eric, what's going on? And I'm just like, well, they're having a problem. I said, a guy fell from the rafters. Of course, obviously they didn't show it on TV, but I said, yeah, it's apparently like a mess. Like, it's pretty bad. And my dad goes, he's like, were they going to stop the show? And I'm like, I don't think so. And that was the first moment where I realized, I'm like, wait, they might actually stop this show.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And that's, to me, that was nuts that they didn't stop the show that night. And the other night that comes to mind, which is a similar incident, was the night Jerry Lawler had his heart attack.
Oh my God. That one I'll never forget, because
I was scared to death that night.
That night, because it was right in the middle of the match.
Yeah.
And Michael Cole just goes silent, and all of a sudden you see paramedics going all over.
Right. And I remember thinking, I'm just like, what's going on? Like, why are they not talking? Like, and I guess I was probably like fiddling around with my phone or something, wasn't paying close attention. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait, how come I haven't heard anybody say anything for a little bit? And I really noticed it. I'm like, is my TV the volume broken? Like,
I compared it to Owen Hart, the Hamlin incident, but the Jerry Lawler is again very similar to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they perform that.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, like,
And Michael Cole, how he held it together that night.
yeah, God bless that man. Oof.
Jerry Lawler had a heart attack on TV commentating a match, and somehow Michael Cole held the show together and got WWE through the entire show. Because I think that was in the third hour of Raw when that happened.
Yeah, it was in the third hour. There was like maybe 30, 40 minutes left. Like, I mean, it wasn't like just like the last minute of the show.
No.
There was a big chunk of time. Yep. And at one point, remember, they cut to Michael Cole, and he's like explaining what's going on. And that was the only talking he did.
Yeah.
For the rest of the show was to give an update on anything that happened with Jerry.
Yeah.
And like, I remember being really like absolutely petrified. And when we were watching the game the other night, my wife's sitting there with me, and she says to me, she's like, well, what are they going to do? I'm like, I don't know. They don't have a precedent for this. Like, this hasn't happened before.
No. No, and that's the thing that when I was actually at work today checking a couple items, and I started thinking about it because I thought we might be talking about this topic tonight.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, it was disgrace what WWFE did.
Yeah.
Continuing those shows. And it was disgraceful how long it took the NFL to say, we're going to postpone this game.
Well, and let's be honest here. The NFL was not going to postpone that game. They were going to tell, like, in fact, the word had come down. Oh, they told both teams, hey, take 5 minutes and let's start warming up and get ready to play again. But I got your 5 minutes right here. Like, I got the players and the coaches said, nah, bro, we ain't doing this.
No, we're not doing it. After that, you can't continue a game.
Like, Josh Allen looked like he had just seen a ghost, and you want to tell him, "Hey, buddy, go out there and try to go score a touchdown here."
Yeah, no.
You kidding me? Like, who's going to focus on that?
I don't even know if the Bills are going to be ready to play this Sunday.
Yeah, look. I mean, I heard. I was on another show last night, and we talked about this, and. The one guy suggested, like, dude, like, with the way Roger Goodell handled this, like, to me, and not enough's being said about it, like, those players should strike.
Yeah.
Like, dude, this is all we're worth to you. 5 minutes and get warmed up and go back and play. And then you got the balls to stand out there and lie to the world and say, oh, no, we weren't going to resume play. The hell you weren't. I was watching live. You told them, get ready for 5 minutes, be ready to go out there and play football.
Yeah.
Give me that crap. You said, oh, we weren't going to play. Yeah, hell you weren't.
No, yeah. And see, to be honest, this is going to stun you. I haven't watched football in years, professional football. I really got out of the NFL with the whole Kaepernick thing.
Yeah, that was just so divisive. And I get it. Like, and regardless of what side you stand on that, like, I get why that was so divisive.
Yeah.
And exhausting.
Yeah. And the thing that gets me is, how did he just disappear from the league? I don't agree with what he did.
Sure.
But he's still a talented player, and he should have been in the league. I mean.
Wait, he walked at the fake to the right dump. And then he's going to be able to stop?
Yeah, long story.
The guy basically he took a knee during the national anthem, and the NFL didn't like that they heard. Some veterans got very offended by it. And again, regardless of how you feel about the issue, like, I never once heard anybody say he didn't have the right to do what he did.
Exactly.
He certainly did have the right. Like, whether you agree with it or not, and I don't. I think he could have chosen a better platform, one that would not have been as divisive. It wouldn't have made the issue all about what he was doing, not about what he was fighting for.
Exactly.
And that would, I think, would have been a better approach. But yeah, I certainly understand why you'd kind of be out on the NFL after the way they handled that whole thing. I feel like they took that and decided to say, hey, wait, here's a way we're going to get even more ratings during the national anthem. And then with how divisive it got and the backlash they got from the audience, and then to say, oh, okay, well, now we're not going to show that. It was all reactionary. They were not out in front of that issue at all.
No. And that's when I started losing a lot. I mean, I do intermittently will change the channel, watch a few minutes here and there of the games, but like I'm not like where I used to be. Like, okay, let me sit on a Sunday afternoon and watch 6 hours of football.
Yeah, I still, the greatest words I ever hear is 7 hours of commercial-free football start now on the Red Channel.
Channel, yeah. Yeah, and it's just
I understand. Like, and I understand anybody who would take that approach.
And to me, this just was another thing. Like, this is a guy's life we're talking about. It's not a silly thing we're talking about. I've seen NHL games where players got hit in the head with a puck and they've stopped the game. Now I'm going to date myself going back a few years, just before they put up the nets. The reason they put up the nets was because the fan who got hit by a puck, the girl who, I think it was in Columbus, that got struck by a puck and died. Like, yeah. I think it was Colorado.
Or maybe it was Colorado. Yeah.
I'm not even sure if Columbus was in the league yet at that point.
Wait, someone got hit by a puck and died?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those things are moving, man. I know it doesn't really look like it when you watch it on TV, but they're
flying. They are flying. And I'm going to date myself, especially with like the hardest slap shot contest. L.I. Frady many years.
Oh man,
my God! 1 year he hit 108, I think.
That was insane. That dude could hit a puck fat like that was insane. Like I don't even know how you do that.
He was on the All-Star team just for that event every year,
right?
Competition. Because overall he wasn't that great of a player.
No, but he had the hardest slap shot in the league. Probably the league's history still.
Yeah, he and Al McGinnis, those two could.
Yeah.
Yeah, McGinnis, though, actually deserved to be on those.
I was going to say, McGinnis was actually a player, too.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, Frady, he could just sit there and shoot the puck as hard as anybody else. Lord knows where the puck was going, but that thing was flying wherever it was going.
It was going to fly, no matter where it was going.
Yeah, but McGinnis, he could, He could shoot the puck and put it on that. That guy was a great defenseman.
He was.
Loved watching him play.
Yeah.
But okay, let's circle back now. Yeah, I wanted to take a moment to talk about that. I know it's gotten a lot of air and a lot of any other show out there, so I felt like we had to address it in some way.
Well, we could say one more thing about pro wrestling with it.
Yeah.
Jericho's tremendous donation.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, that guy deserves
his charity.
Chris Jericho is the GOAT. Like, that guy just is so awesome.
Wait, how much did he donate?
He donated $10,000.
He donated $5,000 and then realized he had misspelled his name, and he could have just gone in and changed it, but instead he said, I'll donate another $5 under my real name.
No. He did that purposely because the max you could do on GoFundMe is $5,000.
Oh, shoot. So he did it twice.
So he misspelled it the second time because he wanted to donate $10,000. So he misspelled it with the U instead of the I, so he can donate $10,000.
Wow, that's great.
So he purposely spelled his name out the face of it and spelled his name out so he could donate money.
Yeah, so he could donate more money to the guy's charity to help kids. That was unbelievable.
And I love how it's been such a great rallying cry for all of humanity. Even if the NFL and Roger Goodell is a giant turd stain on the underwear of life, the people's reactions, it's been just tremendous.
I mean, seeing the people. I was watching the 11 o'clock news, which is rare for me. With my wife last night, just seeing the people outside of the hospital in Cincinnati, trying
Oh,
to
yeah, at the 24-hour mark, they did the vigil for him.
just unbelievable, and it makes you feel good that there's still some good out there.
Yeah.
The negative we have, we can still see the decency of people.
Oh yeah.
For all this world's done wrong, at least we did something right.
Right.
Have you guys ever seen my shoes?
Oh, that's cool.
I
Well,
got
it's funny. That's AJ Styles on there, right?
AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, Becky Lynch, and Finn Balor.
And it's fitting that now we have to, again, I guess, go back into some more bad news. AJ Styles confirmed broken ankle.
Oh.
Be out 6 months or something. They're saying he's going to miss the whole road to WrestleMania.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
a star.
He broke
it's a shame. So yeah, now AJ's out for the Royal Rumble, out for WrestleMania. I'm really hoping this doesn't turn into another scenario where it's hey, now all of a sudden if we hear, oh, Cody's not quite ready to come back, or which I think he is. They're building him up. He's definitely coming back. He's getting the Triple H 2002 treatment.
Yeah, with that Raw, the best of Raw.
Oh yeah,
he did. I really, really hope he comes back and he wins the Rumble. But if he's not ready, I think they laid some interesting groundwork down Friday night.
Yeah.
So
what happened Friday night?
When John Cena and Kevin Owens defeated Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
You could tell Roman was upset at Sami for taking the pin.
Sure.
And then also the return of Charlotte and instantly winning the women's
I
title.
didn't like that. Because I wanted Ronda versus Becky, and because the way I wanted it to happen, I wanted Becky to win the Rumble, Ronda to still be SmackDown champion.
Right.
Becky goes and wins the Raw Women's Championship at the Elimination Chamber, and just like Brock Lesnar the year before, we then get champion versus champion, title for title at WrestleMania.
That would have been great, but not going to get it.
No, not unless they just say, "Oh, Becky and Charlotte, title for title." But
I've read an article. I don't know if it's true, but it'll be interesting how they get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown women's title, Charlotte versus Bianca. Raw women's title, Becky as champion versus Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
Thinking how they're going to get there, if that is what it is.
I would assume Bianca would have to lose the Raw Women's title. I would assume to Becky, and then Bianca were to win the Women's Royal Rumble, choose to go after Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's title, and then Rhea Ripley were to win, say, an Elimination Chamber match to get the championship match with Becky.
Something along those lines.
That's the only way I could think that they would get there with that. To me, I feel like you'd be leaving a lot of unresolved. You'd kind of be wrapping up some stories that haven't really gotten their full. And I feel like that happens a lot this time of year. But
yeah,
I'm really interested in this Alexa Bliss thing.
Me too.
Dark turn. Clearly, she's going to go the way of the Wyatts.
Yep.
And she's going to be a part of that storyline.
Again, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I still can't. It's like Uncle Howdy went after Bray Wyatt. That was interesting.
I think it was to wake up the demon inside of Bray.
Yeah.
So that and I almost wonder if what we might get is, should I spoil it for everybody? To me, it's clearly Bo Dallas.
Right.
Is Uncle Howdy. And what if they bring the idea of Bo Dallas being Bo and then being Uncle Howdy when the situation calls for it, Bray being Bray and being the Fiend when the situation calls for it.
Might be interesting. It's getting
And, you could have them feud. You could have them work together, a la Brothers of Destruction. Only they'd actually be brothers.
Right. They have a lot to work with in this angle.
It would be fun to watch Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy against Ray Wyatt and the Fiend.
Right.
Well, I mean, they're the same person, so it would just be one-on-one, Ray versus Bo. But
they could do one of those cinematic matches.
They could, and I'd be into it.
Right.
But I feel like the cinematic matches, they worked because there was no crowd.
Me too.
And now that we have crowds again, there's no need to go back to those.
Yeah, I mean,
someone could dress up.
They tried it with Piper and Goldust that first.
WrestleMania 12.
Raw. It wasn't that great.
Someone could dress up as Uncle Howdy and the Fiend.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, they could. They could definitely figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, I figure maybe we just won't do homework assignments during the road to WrestleMania. We'll just, first 3 WrestleManias, we'll talk about them next week. I figure that we'll go ahead and put a bow on this one tonight. John Cena, 20 years in a row, getting to work an event. Last show of the year happened to be in Tampa. They booked that basically so they could get John Cena to come back for his match.
Yes.
And that was just obvious.
Right. And I love people on Facebook how Father Time with John Cena's bald spot in the back. I was like, oh boy, they'll really pick on anything, won't they?
They really would. And look, I love watching John Cena work. I'm hoping we get John Cena versus Austin Theory, which is one of the rumors.
Yep.
I would enjoy that match just because I know John Cena would do right by Austin Theory. I really feel like he would take care of Austin Theory, put him over, and do the right thing for the business.
Yep, I think he would. One match I did see some people talking they want to see. It would be interesting for me. Would be John Cena against Logan Paul.
I would enjoy it. Again, I think John would do right by the business. He would take care of Logan, make sure he didn't get hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that would be an entertaining and good matchup.
Yeah, because Logan's got to wrestle a couple matches this year. Why not have one with John Cena?
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
And the one other match I want to see, and whether it's WrestleMania or in another venue is fine. It'll probably either be a WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or one of the Saudi Arabia shows. Would be Logan Paul, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that might be a Saudi show. I think that would be good.
Yeah, I feel like that would get eaten up better in the Saudi arenas. Yeah.
Now, the one title I'm interested to see where they're going to go for WrestleMania, because they mentioned 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
The Intercontinental title.
Right, whether it be Gunther versus Drew or Sheamus.
I also heard it might be Brock against Gunther.
Brock and Gunther. Okay. Brock's never won an undercard title.
No. Any one of those 3 would be fantastic.
How about Roman Reigns against Gunther?
Not going to happen because Roman's got the 2 big titles.
Yeah.
So.
And they're not going to do champion versus champion in that spot.
Mm-mm.
Although I wouldn't object to it. I wouldn't think it'd be terrible.
No.
But I do think it's probably going to be either Drew McIntyre or maybe Brock or Sheamus.
Yeah.
I would love to see them put together something to figure out who have it be a reward. Like a match where that's the stipulation is, okay, winner of this match gets Gunther for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. Make it mean something because they had to do something to earn it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why the Royal Rumble matches and then the title matches that follow are so important because they have to do something to get them.
Right.
Not only because it's for the World Championship.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all the time we have for tonight, folks. Want to thank everybody for listening, all our sponsors. Thank you to Six Pack Coverage. Thank you to La Terrain Watches. And just, thank you to everybody listening out there. We will see you next week. What's that?
I said, and the bald eagle.
And he said the bald eagle.
Yeah, thank you, Bald Eagle. Thank you, Sean, wherever you are, man. Thanks for listening.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody. Have a great night and happy wrestling.